The gun violence is like massive in Philly. I mean, homicide rate is up, body counts are up, more mothers mourning. It's a crisis. I was 16 years old when my ex-boyfriend tried to take my life. I was like beat, thrown over a bridge, shot at, and then literally minutes later, my boyfriend was murdered in front of my mom's house. And I just remember after the murder of my boyfriend, sitting at the prison and asking that person, why did you take Talvor's life? And I didn't get the response that I wanted. But his response was, because you didn't deserve to live. But that look in his face said trauma, undealt with trauma. He had experienced some immense trauma, like he was a victim of gun violence. And what frustrates me is the family knew that he needed help and they didn't get him any help. So not only was he a victim, now he's a shooter. So early on, I've experienced some trauma and then kind of was able to kind of deal with the other traumas that was coming forward, and that was the suicide of my identical twin sister, Kathleen Pichardo. My brother was a loving kid. He was very energetic, loved fashion, loved designing, loved to do our hair and our makeup. My brother was approached along with my nephew by two guys on his way to pick up dinner, and they robbed him. And after they robbed him, they shot him anyway. And then they just left him on the street. I remember going to the hospital, waiting there just for 10 hours for an update, pacing back and forth, trying to find out if my brother was going to make it out of the OR. And after like the 11th hour, he didn't make it. My dad, who dealt with the loss of my brother in ways that most men do, they don't cry, they don't know how to mourn. It was too much for him. And, he literally willed himself to death. Like, every day, I can't find my son's shooter. I just want to go to sleep and not wake up. And that's just, that's what happened. He literally went to sleep one day and never woke up. I mean, let's talk about the traumas that we're facing. I mean, I could have been easily a shooter if I didn't address my trauma. I could have been one full of rage, and for good reason. I mean, you lose a twin sister because she's allowed access to a firearm while suffering from mental health. You got a boyfriend who almost takes my life and takes the life of my boyfriend, and then you got my brother whose case is unsolved. And then you got the ripple effect of gun violence. Now I lose my dad. So it's just like, I could be one of those angry people, but because I choose to address the trauma and address this pain, then I don't want to be that shooter. I don't want to be that person that's full of rage and violence.
And where does hope fit in all this?
Hope. Sorry. Sorry. So hope for me, I think, has allowed me to actually move forward. I think, just hope for me has been one of those things that if I didn't have it, I probably wouldn't be here. A lot of times when you experience the immense loss, you do lose it for a bit. You lose that hope. And then when you find it with a vengeance. So what I decided to do with all the grief and the pain and all of these things that I was experiencing, I don't want to sit in that mourning phase the rest of my life. So action was the course that I chose to take, just helping families any way that I could to help families solve cases. I mean, literally being there for families is important. I mean, people can talk a good game, but are you there? Are you at the doorstep of a mother who lost a loved one? Are you at the doorstep of a police officer that was just shot? Are you there? Talking to detectives, talking to community members, store owners, helping families navigate through systems that were broken, and really giving the voice to mothers and sisters in a way that if they see us doing it, that they will want to do it. And then I've learned that when you give a mother this bullhorn, right, and she hears herself for the first time, she never puts that bullhorn back down. So that's one of the most powerful things that I see a mother can do for a child that was taken from her. There's a lot of holes that I tried to fill. As an outreach worker, I shouldn't be the one reversing so many overdoses, plugging up gunshot wounds like I'm some kind of street surgeon. It's a role I'll take on because it's what's necessary at the moment. One of those things that has really made it full circle for my life is working as a temple trauma advocate in the very hospital that my brother was murdered. Years ago, there was nothing. We sat in silence and in fear and in frustration. And knowing that I sat in the same hallways that I sit with now with mothers and fathers, that it's not vacant anymore. There's people to talk to them about updates, providing resources after the fact, and connecting them to services. When I'm able to literally make that full circle, it says something about what trauma doesn't have control over, and it's important that we control our life and realize what trauma can do and what we're not going to allow it to do.